Yeah. Before Christmas, I felt really open and happy, and recognized that I was more free from my conditioning. But then I had an experience of dissolving the feeling of my body and my body boundaries. So I freaked out, but could not stop the feeling of dissolution. The next day, I went for a walk, and I felt like everywhere I watched, there was just me. And I was thinking, is this what I've been trying to achieve by practicing non-duality? I don't want this. And since then, the ultimate feeling of terror has melted. But still, if I get like too relaxed or too deep into a meditation, this fear comes again. And it is very difficult for me not to keep thinking all the time. My question is if this feeling of dissolution is something that I'm like supposed to feel, or is it some experience that I'm messing up to be like the feeling of consciousness or being aware or something?
Yes. Okay. Anna, first of all, there's nothing you're supposed to be feeling. So the understanding in you is taking this shape. It may take a completely different shape in somebody else, but for you, there's this very strong feeling of the boundaries of your body dissolving. And the reason that's frightening, the reason it's terrifying for you, is because our sense of ourself, our identity, is very strongly determined by our identification with the body. So this dissolution of the body, it's not really the dissolution of the body that is problematic. It is the dissolution of yourself as a separate self or ego. So the fear that is problematic, the fear that you are experiencing is the ego's fear of disappearance. It's not really the body. So this, and that's a good sign. It means that your understanding has taken you to the core, one of the two core emotions that defines the separate self, the fear of disappearance. The other one is the sense of lack. So it's good that this is happening, although it's uncomfortable. And just go slowly. If the fear gets too much, you can pull back from it. But see that it's not really your being that is threatened. Throughout this process, your being remains the same. Your being never, this expansion of the body or this dissolution of the sense of separation, your being is never diminished in any way by it. It's never threatened by it. So when you feel this fear, go to your being. See that your being remains intact. Remember, Meister Eckhart, there is a place in the soul that has never been wounded. But when you're feeling this wound, this fear, go to your being. It remains intact. And gradually, the power of the fear will diminish, I suspect.
Yeah, it was like I'm afraid of facing the fear again, because then last time it got so bad that I couldn't like do any of my normal everyday things. I was just like, I couldn't.
Okay, well, if you are required, if your mind and your body are required by the world to engage in certain activities or relationships, then you have to turn away from the fear. That's not the time to be exploring these matters. But if your mind and your body are not required by the world. And don't use the world as an excuse to avoid the intensity of this fear. If you're just alone at home, then face the fear. Because that which is facing the fear is free of it. The fear is intense, but that which knows it, that which is facing it, is not implicated by it. It is the same one that is aware of this conversation now. It's just that during the fear, instead of being aware of our gentle conversation, it is aware of the intensity of your fear. But you, the one who is facing it, is free. You're not affected by the fear. You're safe. Take refuge in that one as that one, and allow the intensity of the fear. It's like watching a terrifying movie. You make a cup of tea and you sit cozy on your sofa, feeling safe, watching the drama unfold in front of you. I know the movie in this case is a little closer to you than your TV screen, but it's still appearing on the screen. In this case, you are the screen on which the terror is appearing, whereas when you're watching the movie, the screen, relatively speaking, is at a distance from yourself. That gives you a feeling of safety, but feel the same way that the terror is appearing on the screen of awareness. You are the screen. You are the aware screen that is watching this intense emotion arise up in you.
And I was thinking, would it pass if this feeling of dissolution comes again? Will it pass, or because...
Will the feeling of dissolution pass, or the fear that accompanies it?
The feeling of the dissolution. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I felt like I couldn't operate in the world.
Okay, well, as I say, if you can't operate in the world because the feeling of dissolution or the fear that accompanies it are too intense, then you have to turn away from it. You have to give your attention to something else, and presumably it subsides then. You have to shut it out in a way. So yes, if your attention is required by the world, turn away from it. But if not, I recommend you turn towards it, because if you don't, it will always have power over you. Whereas if you transcend this fear, you'll never be touched by this fear of death again. So take it as a great opportunity. But you see, Anna, when you ask the question, will it pass? If I do this, will the dissolution or the fear that accompanies it pass? Will it pass? You indicate then that you're not taking your stand as the witnessing presence of awareness, because awareness would never ask that question. The space of a room never says, when is that person going to leave? If I accept that person, will they leave the room a little bit quicker? No, the space never says that. The space says to the person, you can stay for as long as you like. So it would be better, rather than saying, if I take my stand as the presence of awareness and turn towards the intensity of this emotion, will it disappear? It would be better to turn towards the emotion and say, you're welcome within me forever. Now, I know that might seem a bit stringent for you at the moment because it's so intense, but remember, don't try to make the mind say that. Don't turn this into a discipline or a practice that the mind does. Otherwise, the mind will always be battling and struggling with this fear. No, it's the presence of awareness that says, you are always welcome within me. So you first feel, I am this openness, this aware emptiness. And as that one, turn towards the dissolving feeling in the body and the fear that accompanies it, and say to it, you're welcome in me for as long as you want, then it will lose its power over you. And in time, as a byproduct of this understanding, it will leave you.